Okay, for this next lesson, we're going to continue talking about describing data graphically. This time we're going to focus on how to make a histogram in Minitab Express. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. All right, if you don't have it open already, go ahead, go to Canvas, go to Modules, and then in the section where we have all the Minitab materials, go ahead and open up the Describing Data Graphically lesson.mtw. That should be opened up in Minitab for you. Oh, and I'm going to get rid of this. A fun fact, if you need to get rid of a chart or a graph that you've created in Minitab, you'll see over here on the left side, there is a navigator. You can just click on the data or the graph name that you've created, right click on it and click delete, and then boom, you see how our graph is gone. So if you ever need to do that, that's the quick, easy way to do that. Just go over to Navigator, right click on the graph you want to delete, and then click delete, and it'll go away. All right, so similar to how we did a dot plot, you want to make sure that on your highest level toolbar that you are clicked into the Graphs tab. That will open up all of these options for you. This time, we want to pick histogram. So go ahead and pick a histogram. And you'll see here, similar to the dot plot, we have two main options. We have single Y variable for comparing data within one data set. And then we have the multiple Y variables where we want to compare multiple sets of data. For this one, we're going to stick with the single Y variable and click simple. You'll see it's this first icon here. Again, just like with the dot plot exercise, it gives us our data sets that are within this file. So we're not going to look at broken eggs yet. Let's go ahead and stick with presidents. To choose the president's data set, just double click it. It should show up here in this field over here. And once you have that selected, just go ahead and click OK. You'll see that your histogram will show up right here in this upper part of Minitab. And what we have here, we have the president's ages basically put into columns. And so they're grouped within a certain range. What we see here at the bottom are our values for the middle point or the midpoint for each of these columns. So for this first one, bin number 2, the range, you'll see they're identified in the bin equals 42 to 46, or 42, 46. The middle value then is 44. It's the number between 42 and 46. All right, and then by contrast, what those bin numbers are called in Minitab, they are actually called your cut points. So your cut points are your two ends or the range for this column. All right, and as far as if we want to change the bin size, what we do is we click on the graph to select it. So see how it now has a blue highlight around it? That means it is selected. And then we need to click on the plus sign to open the Graph Elements menu. So I think we need to scroll up in order to see that. Ah, there it is. So click this Graph Elements plus sign icon. And that'll open up a bunch of options for us to work with within this graph. So the first thing that we want to do is look at binning. And binning is the size of the columns. We'll give that a click. Be sure that you click on the actual arrow next to it, because if you click on the title, it won't do anything for you. So click this arrow right here. We have some options here. One option is the actual number of bins. So if we want to be more granular with our data on how we look at our data graphically, then we would want to increase the number of these bins. We can take a quick look at that by increasing it to 9. Oh, and you'll see that our graph has changed instantly. Let's go ahead and change that back to 7 so we can see that again. Some of the other options we have, instead of having the midpoint shown on the bottom of the graph, we can change it to cut point. We'll take a quick look at that. You'll see now that our midpoints are gone. Here we had 42, or sorry, we had 44 right here, which was the midpoint between 42 and 46. So that's gone. And now we have what the cut points are going across the graph on the bottom. There is no wrong or right answer for which one that you choose. It's simply whatever's going to help you to be able to tell your story the best and tell it at a glance. So that is how you change the number of bins, and you change your preferences for cut points versus midpoints. Another thing that you can do, which is really helpful, especially when you're working with teams or working with executives, is add data labels or add footnotes or subtitles. The first thing I want to show you is how to add a footnote. So what you'll do is you'll click on the footnote just like we did there, and you'll see down here in the lower left corner of the graph, we have a field that we now can fill in. I simply clicked on where it said footnote, and it opened up this little field here with the gold or the brownish outline. So here we can put in a note such as bins contain their left endpoints. And as you'll see here, we have the leftmost endpoint for this column and for this column and this column, etc. So at a glance, whoever might be using this graph, or you might be using this graph with, can at least understand, oh, okay, I understand what this 48 means. I get it, I'm tracking. And then you just click anywhere outside of the graph, and it makes it a little bit bigger and easier to see, just like that. All right, in a nutshell, that is how you do a histogram in Minitab Express, and you should be able to use these exact same steps as you do your assignment.